You are tuned into a special Player Spotlight interview on the CS Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the CS Podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first. Since 2002, visit NFLDraftBible.com. Follow on Twitter at NFL Draft Bible. As always, I'm your guys' host, Chris Shanafelt. And joining the show now for a Player Spotlight interview is one of the top quarterbacks coming out of the JUCO ranks by way of Rochester Community and Technical College. He's Nick Rooney, and thanks for taking some time this afternoon, Nick. When you hear that, arguably the best JUCO quarterback in the nation, I mean, what kind of goes through your mind? Do you agree with that statement? I mean, the stats certainly back it up.
Hey, Chris. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. But when I hear that statement, first off, I think that football is definitely the ultimate team sport. The quarterback position is so dependent on, everyone around you. The line needs to protect, the receivers need to make plays, coaches need to put you in a good position to succeed. If you look at Tom Brady, he doesn't become the GOAT, without Belichick, his defense, the line, and again, dudes making plays for him. But, when I hear that, statement, I always say, you gotta think you're the best to be the best.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, I mean, the stats, the tape, what you've done over the last couple of years at RCTC has been beyond impressive. And, I want to take you back to your first year at RCTC, playing for the Yellow Jackets. Heading in, did you have any idea that you would be the team's starting quarterback that freshman year of yours? I mean, was there any quarterback competitions? And how were you able to have the success that you did that first year of yours playing JUCO ball?
When I came to RCTC, we actually had a returning starter. So throughout the summer and fall camp, we competed, and I ended up winning the job and starting the first game. But, the first year it was a little rocky. We had a couple forfeit losses due to eligibility and some other issues that caused problems. But, halfway through the year, we switched up the offense and ended up finishing pretty strong. Again, with that, I ended up earning the trust from the coaches, and I was able to put the ball in the playmakers' hands, and then, the offense started rolling, and we started winning games.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That freshman year of yours in 2014, you threw for over 3,500 yards, 48 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Certainly not a bad touchdown to interception ratio at all. With your first year under your belt, you obviously showed the Yellow Jackets that they have to worry about getting points on the board. Like you mentioned, you had the trust in your coaches, you had the trust in your teammates, and you guys were making plays. What were your expectations heading into this past season, knowing that it'll be your last at Rochester Community and Technical College?
I was pretty confident. We had a couple playmakers leave in Patrick Bolden and Marley Allenson. Bolden actually ended up coming back week 3 this year, but, our defense had a bunch of DBs returning, and we had a good recruiting class, and I knew if we could get past those first 3 games, we had a couple of rivals, that, we could end up, finishing out pretty good. I didn't as a non-scholarship team, to make it to the national championship, but we had a lot of things kind of fall into place, and we were able to, get to that level.
And you broke 9 school records as a freshman, and this past season as a sophomore, Nick, you continue to play at a very high level. I don't even know if that describes your play well enough for this season. You were named first-team All-American by completing nearly 68% of your passes and throwing for over 4,300 yards, 57 touchdowns, which led all junior college football. You also rushed for 4 more touchdowns, all in 12 games. And like you mentioned, you led your team to a national championship appearance. I mean, compare this season, your sophomore season, to your first year at RCTC, if you can.
The main things from the first year and this year was, we had a great AD step in, and Patrick Simon. Coaches ended up giving me a lot more control of the offense, and then overall, the team was more bought in to each other.
Now, when you say the coaches gave you a lot more control over the offense, what were you allowed to do this year that maybe you weren't allowed to do as a freshman?
Just a lot more audibles, checks, calling some plays. So I was just given, more control to, be a general on the field and kind of, change plays and see what I thought.
Okay, and this season as a sophomore, I got to ask, did you find yourself having to take on more of a leadership role, Nick, seeing as you guys had 64 freshmen compared to just 31 sophomores, or were you always looked at as a leader on the team because you're the team's starting quarterback?
Yeah, the first year I had to fight for respect, among the older guys, but, by the end I kind of, took it and earned it. But that kind of carried over in the spring and the summer when we had the new guys in there, and we kind of, showed them the ropes and showed them how it's done.
And you were able to lead the Rochester Community and Technical College football team to their first ever appearance in the National Junior College Athletic Association National Championship game. You mentioned it. I mean, this is a team, a non-scholarship team, so that kind of makes it even more impressive, to say the least. Talk about that national championship game if you can. I know that it didn't go the way that you guys would have liked it to, seeing as you guys fell to Northwest Mississippi 66-13. But what was that opportunity like to just compete with your team, on the biggest stage in junior college football?
Yeah, it was I think, third time a non-scholarship school has actually been in the overall national championship. So it was definitely, a big accomplishment. And like you said, it didn't go too well at all. They got a good team, a ton of good players and great coaches. But, basically we just didn't get the O rolling. We'd come up, fourth and inches or have a key penalty and, stuff like that. But when the offense doesn't get rolling, and you leave the defense on the field, bad things are going to happen.
Again, he's Nick Rooney, the quarterback out of Rochester Community and Technical College, joining me here on the CS podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first. Since 2002, visit NFLDraftBible.com. And, Nick, when you first decided to take the JUCO route, I mean, did you ever think that you would have the success and the impact that you had on the Yellow Jackets football team? I mean, you now hold NJCAA records for career passing yards with 7,884, career touchdowns with 105, and single-season passing touchdowns with 57, which, of course, you just threw this past season as a sophomore. I mean, I can't think that you've seen all this heading your way when you first came out of high school, did you?
Actually, it's kind of funny. One of the first times I met my head coach, before I even saw, the RCTC record book, I told him, I would break every record and actually take this program to the next level. But, the 105, touchdowns and the 7,800 yards, I didn't expect that. That's just, being in the good system, coaches calling good plays, playmakers making plays. So, those numbers, when you look back, are actually kind of surprising.
And I know over the summer, Nick, you were able to make a couple of visits to Arkansas and Cal Berkeley. Can you talk about how those visits went? And, just kind of talk about what it's like. I mean, here you are. We've already said it a couple times, a non-scholarship junior college. I got to think that's a pretty big step for you to make these visits to some big-time FBS programs, coming from where you are coming from.
Being up north, you don't really get recruited from the teams down south. But, this summer I went to a couple camps, in Arkansas and Cal, and, did pretty well, and then got to have the whole tour and, put the jersey on. So Arkansas, they ended up taking the USC transfer, I believe, but I still keep in touch with Coach Franklin at Cal, so we'll see where that one goes.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, Nick. I'll tell you flat out, I really cannot believe, you aren't more of a hot commodity when you talk about some of the top guys coming out of junior college football. We've already talked about what you've done at Rochester Community, the records that you've broken, and the tape that you've put together. Are you surprised that more teams, more big-time programs aren't knocking on your door and calling your phone, or are they, and we're just not hearing about it?
Seems like, nowadays in college, schools are kind of looking for, that 6'4" guy that can run, but and they think they can, teach him how to be a quarterback. But in my opinion, kind of like what Aaron Rodgers said in his E60 interview, the most important, attributes of a quarterback, they can't really be taught. And that comes with the confidence, the mental toughness, and the ability to lead people.
Yeah, and actually that's exactly right. And you mentioned the height, the weight. I believe last I checked, I seen you were listed at 6'2", 190, 195. Is that about right?
Yeah, I'm about 6'2" with cleats on, and I'm probably around, 200, 205.
All right, sounds good. Well, your 2 years at the JUCO level, they are officially up. You've really dominated the competition. As we mentioned, you were able to carry this team. You were able to help this team make an appearance in the national championship game. Any idea when we might hear where Nick Rooney is going to continue his education and college playing career at?
You know what, Chris? The JUCO life, it's wild. I mean, 1 week you're talking to, Power 5 schools, but the next, you can't talk to nobody. So I don't know what's going to happen, but, we'll see if someone gives me a shot, and then we'll see what happens.
And we'll finish this interview off. Last question for you, Nick. I really do appreciate your time. For college coaches that might be tuned into this interview, what should they know about the quarterback, Nick Rooney, coming from the JUCO level, coming from RCTC, and why should they want you a part of their team?
Well, basically, just give me a shot in the right system, and they'll end up happy.
Nice and simple. And obviously the stats back it up. The film backs it up, and I certainly think we'll be seeing you playing. Actually, I'm quite confident that we'll be seeing you playing somewhere next season. There's almost no doubt about that, I think. But, Nick, like I said, that was my final question for you. I really do appreciate your time. Of course, congrats on all the success, and we certainly can't wait to see where you'll be taking snaps under center next season.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks for having me on.